gotten the live stream to work. Maybe tonight when I get home, I can get it.
Well, I hope so. I hope so.
Oh,
Hi.
How are you? All kinds of good stuff here, huh?
I know. We're gonna have this routine in the middle. And
Okay.
push him over a little bit.
He's fine.
I was doing 2, 3, and kind of Todd's down there. I thought, well, if Darren bid me, we can put him on TV so everybody will know who he is to start with.
David, I want to congratulate you. I think your report was right
Oh,
on.
thank you. Hope that answered some of your questions.
I didn't have any questions, but yes, I'm sure we'll answer questions all over the place.
Well, Leroy, you've already started the meeting, right?
No.
Or did whatever you're supposed to do? Okay.
Herbie, how you be?
Doing okay, thank you.
So that big house behind you.
Yeah, I think they're gonna move in tomorrow. They were cutting the grass today, cleaning it up. And I heard from Ishmael that it was closed, they closed last Monday.
Fantastic.
So I think they're supposed to move in soon.
It's a tall house.
Just wondered when they're gonna put the steeple on it. I think he had a buyer right from the beginning. He'd been working with the person all along. He never told me for sure that he had a buyer, but he kept making changes. And I knew somebody was making suggestions to it.
Leroy, is this the same report we got last week? When we got digitally?
Oh, yes, that's in your box.
Oh,
I
just, it
printed
was
the
in my,
box
it was
out.
in my box, okay.
I
I
printed
got
the
it,
box
I got
out.
it online, so I didn't go look at my box. Thank you.
And if you already have it, just leave. You don't wish to keep a hard copy, we can keep it in the office and give it to someone else.
Okay.
We have different ones at different times requesting. So,
All yours.
okay,
Digital's fine with me.
okay.
So Herb, mellowing out, plans for the future?
I took all my stuff off my computer, so that ought to be an indicator.
You remember when?
I just give them Darren's number. Same email, just send it there.
Uh-huh.
Here's his number.
Well, not me. I'm a part of it.
We do appreciate the time, energy, and focus that you put into this, Herb.
Well, I enjoyed it. It was a fun 2 years. I have to say, I learned a lot.
You know, that's always a good thing, depending on what you learn.
I guess I can take Robert's Rules of Order off my phone now.
Okay. Not gonna volunteer for any boards?
No, not right now. I've been on the phone trying to get campgrounds lined up. It's kind of hard. But they did open the campgrounds in Colorado today.
Okay.
The state campgrounds, they
Good.
opened all of them. I don't know when the national parks are going to open
You
up.
know, that's the funny thing is, you know, if you're camping, you're generally gonna be 50, 60, 80, 100 feet away from any other group.
Pretty safe.
Yeah. The only bottleneck is the headquarters. And I guess that's what they were trying to avoid, is having 200 people a day walk through the headquarters.
Yeah. Now they've got, I mean, they have all the reservation systems are online for the national parks.
I think you still
You
have
don't
to.
really have to do much, and you flash your over 65 card and you get through the gate. You don't have to get out of your vehicle and go in or anything. So it's really not that hard to stay away from people.
I had to get tires on my truck a couple weeks ago, and I got to the discount tire, and they said, call us when you get to the parking lot. So I did. They say, stay in your car, we'll call you when your booth opens. You drive in, you stay in your car. They
Oh, they let you
hoist
stay
you,
in the car.
hoist you into the air, change your tires,
Good.
sign you out, off you go. So,
Well, that's good.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Texas is gonna have much of a problem. Pretty well rated.
Good evening, sir. I'll take one. I'm not worried.
How are you? See, I bet you're gonna hate to part with them.
What?
I bet you're gonna hate to part with them.
It's gonna be a bad thing. In my school once more, I had a class I was supposed to give online. Turned it off, I opened it up. Wouldn't come. It just, I had, yeah, I took it, I had to take it over there and they gave me another one, but I think class was, I don't know what happened to that class.
Yikes.
My daughter-in-law was at the house and she's kind of knows a little bit back in the years. She said, well, let's just open it up, take the battery out, pull it out, put it back in. And she said, that usually do that. I said, this doesn't belong to me. I got over there and he swapped it out. He said, I'll take the battery out. So she knew what she was talking about.
That's the best thing to do with the event.
But you have to take the whole back off to get the battery.
Hard to get to, so.
But it wasn't mine, so I wasn't like that. I didn't want to take it in. They said, then you mess this up, then
Yeah.
you get back.
It's true. A lot of them have seals on them. If you break a seal, it's bad news. They won't do anything.
Yeah, and so we actually scaled down quite a bit.
Let's just say we're doing it. I've got to be on
Can I borrow your pen?
I
I can use this one. I don't know who it is. Probably Derek.
What happened to the rest?
Need a pen?
What is today?
Yes.
I cleaned it up pretty good. I mean, I moved all my emails into the folder. Everything's cleaned up. So you
It's funny how everything that was in my drawer is gone.
I'll get with them.
Crap saver?
Yeah, that was mine too, but I had pens and stuff in it.
So are you, and that's your check. That was in the box. This is from the last quarter. Y'all have another check coming for like the
You can retire now.
Not another coming.
You can mail the next one.
That will help with retirement for the second one. I'll put it over the top.
That second was like a couple of meetings and stuff. I told them, I said, well, we can do all in one, but to keep our quarters going, it was next.
Yeah, let's keep your bookkeeping straight.
I
That's,
know.
I see
We'll
that.
let you get you. Before you leave, I have something for y'all down there too. You can just hang on. That's why, yeah, that's why on the,
You hide and watch.
you gotta do that. You're taking what I gave you. But no, on the agenda, and you can see Mr. King's if you want to. And you probably saw it. It just says that we're gonna acknowledge y'all before I swear them in.
Oh, yeah, I saw
The
that.
mayor's gonna be commenting, so I'll be doing it, but I have a little gift for you all.
That's nice.
Okay.
So, anyway.
Do I get to take my sign?
Yes, you do. I'm gonna hand that to you too. Sure.
All right.
Yeah, and you can save it.
Yeah.
You've got two
I can use
sides.
it for a paperweight.
There you go, there you go. So anyway, yeah, we appreciate it, and I think, man, I've enjoyed it.
I have to.
Unless we
For the
elect
most
somebody
part.
else with the same name from the same district, it's not a whole lot of
Yeah, we
use.
do, we'll get it. But yeah, it's,
go to move it one over. There's, you see the two?
Yeah, 2 years went by pretty
Sleeping.
fast.
It did, that's scary.
This last year.
Remember
not
that.
even-
Oh, okay.
We were, my son and I were in a blind,
A roller coaster.
You know, when I think about it, I think
it's
about
almost 30
So,
yards,
so both at the same time or one at a time?
same time.
Okay.
I'd already agreed, I
I have a
said,
long list of.
I told him, you take the big one, but there were only big ones out there. Fortunately, we didn't shoot the same big one.
Right.
I said, when you count, when you hit three, count to three. When you say three, we'll shoot.
In the mid-'80s, when we had that 13-inch snow in San Antonio, nobody could work. My father-in-law and I decided to go out to his lease. It took us an hour and a half to get out there because we had to drive 25 miles an hour. But we pulled through the gate, came up over a rise, deer. It's like,
Well, I don't want to.
okay, so you park sideways,
They
reloaded.
canceled me on,
You take one on the right, I'll take one on the left. Windows came down on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Boom. Drove out there, loaded them up, went home.
because
I noticed that Colorado opened up all their state parks for camping today.
And my son shot an oryx the
well,
other
and
day.
you know, you can just, my husband and I said, if someone comes to see
I don't know what that looks like.
What's that one with the big long horns?
Oh, okay. He's not a native.
No.
I saw, when I pulled in back here, I saw a fox in Rick Bay's backyard.
The fox?
Yeah,
Oh, you haven't had it to your house
a
yet?
red
Well, I
fox.
had my house and we took it back, and so then you can fix all this, you know. After you get it home, you start
Have
looking
you
like
ever
this.
camped there? How long have you had it?
We got to some.
It sounds like us. We got ours on the 20, we got our new one on the 21st of June, and we didn't get the camp in it until December 28th.
Yeah. We, of course, we were going April, Easter's, and our park shut down, or we canceled the day before. And then the son was on Memorial Day, and I said, we shoot for July. But, you know, this is a busy time for the budget hearing,
Oh, yeah.
workshops and stuff.
Where was he?
I said, I can't ask, because we keep it open.
Near Junction?
It's plugged in.
Okay. There are a lot of wild, exotic game ranches between here and Hill Country, up through Bend area.
Paid for
We
5.
were coming back from,
Took the net
our hunt
for 2.5.
out there in
I talked to
my
the
place
lady
is just
yesterday,
north
she was very
of,
nice, she said, I can't refund it, but
we saw an axis out on the,
it cost us 35 bucks.
I was driving up towards Tarpley last week and saw a herd of buffalo.
saw buffalo.
Yeah.
We put it in the bank.
Whatever. I'm not worried. I know it. I know it. I'm good. I'm good. It's all right.
But you don't want to get out there with buffalo are mean. You know what else is mean? Is
You sit down there with
elk.
Leroy, and you keep him.
They'll go after you.
That and they're 1,500 pounds.
I was at a sale, a wild game sale. My wife had a party and she kicked me and the boys out. So we went to this sale up at Harper's. It was exotic animals and everything. And you know how the cattle, they have that sort of semicircle and they have that deal you can get behind? Well, they were bringing elk and I didn't notice the guys got behind that thing. And, one of them took his hat on a stick and put it up. And elk went, oh, damn. I mean, they came out of there. His head had been there and it probably killed him.
Just for educational purposes.
I was at a, and the reason I know buffalo were not timid either, they had a fundraiser in Brownsville for, when I lived down there for the Gladys Porter Zoo, and we went to, it was one of those silent auction dealers, and there was a guy that did wildlife programs on Channel 4 down there, and they were selling a day with him. You could go around, take pictures and stuff on these ranches and stuff, and I bought it, and went out there and I'm had my camera up and I'm looking at this bison.
All of a sudden he's getting bigger.
He's getting bigger and I'm not adjusting anything.
It's time to move.
I looked up and he said, you might want to get in the truck. And the next place went a little bit, somewhere in that day, we went up to a fence. You know what drill stem is?
Oh, yeah.
Pretty stiff stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Went up
Yeah, it's
there.
usually 1-inch thick pipe. Yeah.
We went up there and met the owner, and I looked up and here came a white rhino charging at us. I mean, he came to a skidding halt at that fence, and the owner went over his truck and got a loaf of bread. You knew when you got there, he loved bread. Now, he didn't get on the other side of the fence with him.
No.
But he put his hand
You know,
through it.
Rhino pulled over more than the hippopotamus side.
I thought hippopotamus kills more people. They kill more people, hippos kill more people in Africa than any other thing.
Generally, I thought rhinoceros were pretty gentle animals.
It worked out.
Pretty what?
Gentle.
So you make them, no, I also know, can get you as an ass.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They get,
They're insured.
they get unhappy and hurt. You get an elephant, man, you got a thing just blow over, you can't get behind it. You better get behind a big tree.
If you're on the line, Gina Martinez.
Well, that got me here, ain't going.
Gina, thank you. We got you. Next caller, please identify.
It's working under that, I don't know why, we just don't like it.
They can share.
That's what I'm on this.
Madam Mayor, you want?
Hello.
I had y'all two of them, but if you don't have them, you do.
Deborah?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. This is Cindy. I was just checking to see if the meeting has been called to order.
Not yet.
Hi, Cindy. No, ma'am. I can't. Nobody. I said, are you there? Yes. Bye.
We're all here.
I saw them there. They muted us.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know what to do. I'm just waiting.
We're here.
No problem. No problem. I'll just wait.
Madam Mayor, are you there, Madam Mayor?
Thank you. We're all in this together. Yes, ma'am.
Madam Mayor, are you there? This thing muted? Sheena, can you hear me?
That's why she's not getting any response.
Hello? Sheena, are you there?
Hello?
They're not hearing us.
They're not even on now.
They both said they couldn't hear anything. They thought we were muted.
I started my
Hello?
recording.
Can you hear us?
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. You can't hear us, though. We're trying to fix it.
Does she have her phone muted?
We wouldn't be able to hear.
Well, she would hear us, we couldn't hear her.
Yeah, check to see if her volume's up. I guess we can't tell her to check to see if her volume's turned up.
Hello?
Can y'all hear us?
Yes. I can.
Can? Okay. Are y'all able to hear now?
Can we start?
Yes.
Yes.
Let me. Mayor, did you want to call the meeting to order?
Is everyone there to hear me?
Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't hear, okay. Mayor, did you want to call the meeting to order? Yes. Do you hear me? Do you all hear me?
Yes.
I was on mute for some reason. Y'all don't want to hear me talk. Okay. Call to order. Let this meeting be called to order Tuesday, May 12, 2020 at 5 o'clock p.m. Could I have a roll call, please?
District 2's
District
here.
1? I'm here. Thank
District
you, Ms. Martinez. District 2?
present.
Sorry.
Present.
District 3?
Present.
4?
Present.
5?
I'm here.
And so, do I need to, we have the city secretary, the administrator, and all the people that need to be on the agenda? You all hear me? Yes. Can't hear you. Okay. I order this meeting, the call to order Tuesday, May 12, 2020, at 5 o'clock p.m. I can't hear it.
Somebody's got the live stream on.
Do you have the live stream on?
That's exactly what it is.
I'm not sure who has the live stream on.
I can't hear anything. Okay, we good? Hello?
We
Yes.
can
Yes.
hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay. All right, so we have everyone, the city administrator and, I can't, huh? I'm getting all this distortion. Hello?
We're hearing it too.
Yes, ma'am, we're hearing it also.
If somebody has their television turned on, we're getting feedback from somebody, so please check your television and make sure it's turned down.
Or if you're on the computer.
It sounds like a microphone wheel, not a TV on this side. Okay, so we're all here. Let's stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor to Texas flag. Pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Who is our invocation person?
I'll be doing it tonight.
Thank you, Councilman Cherry.
Please pray with me.
Please remain standing for the invocation.
Dear Lord, we thank you for today. We thank you for the beautiful afternoon weather, and we thank you, Lord, for this opportunity to do the work of the city and for the service of those who are leaving us after this meeting and those who are joining us after this meeting. Please help us, Lord, to be mindful of your desires, your will, and your intents for the city of Castroville. Please protect our citizens and help us, Lord, to overcome this rather disturbing and disrupting virus. All these things we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Councilman Cherry. Now we will acknowledge the outgoing District 3 and District 5 council members, and I believe this is City Secretary Howe. Thank you.
Yes. I guess District 3 is coming down.
You want the mic, Deborah?
You want me to hold it for you? It was off.
Well, it's red on. It's not working. We'll try to. First of all, and this is just a little appreciation for your second time around, I guess. And I hope you enjoyed it, and it's been a pleasure working with you. And this is just something, it's, has your name, District 3 council member from 2018 to 2020. And thank you for your time and dedication on helping the city of Castroville move forward to a better future.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Very good.
Nice, so thank you so much. Here's the box. Okay, glad you're through. Okay, District 5. Because you got two things. You were District 5, then you also was Mayor Pro Tem for a year, so you got to do double duty there. And this too is an appreciation, and it's Herbert Dyer, District 5, Council Member 2018 to 20. You were Mayor Pro Tem from 2019 to 2020. Thank you for your time, focus, and promotion of moving the city of Castroville towards a brighter future. And you work hard at it. And thank you, and I've enjoyed working with you.
Gosh, it's getting lonely up here.
I'd like to thank you all for all done a tremendous job. Bill, you're gonna
I want to leave that.
play some musical
Okay,
chairs.
you're gonna swear in. Mayor, we can move on to the next one if you'd like.
Thank you, because I can't distinguish between all the voices, so you're gonna have to let me know.
Yes, ma'am,
All
we can
right,
move to
so,
the
we acknowledge District 3 and District 5.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so now we will have the swearing ceremony of new District 3 and District 5 council members. Welcome.
District 3, you can come up first and we'll raise your hand and swear at you.
Is that my district?
Yeah, the only time I get to swear at you.
That's yours.
There's two different ones.
Same as it was last time.
I know. And you can just, I'll read it off, you will picture the statement of elected official. I state your name.
Bill King.
Do solemnly swear or affirm that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment for the giving or withholding a vote at the election at which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or affirmation, whichever the case may be, so help me God.
I swear.
Okay. And of course, under here, you'll sign this, under the penalties of perjury, I declare that I've read the foregoing statement, which you will, and that the facts stated therein are true.
I swear.
Okay, and then I'll get you to sign that. Okay, here's the oath. In the state of Texas, oath of office, raise your right hand.
I, Bill King.
Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of City Council District 3 for the city of Castroville of the state of Texas, and will to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state, so help me God.
I swear.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, since this is set up a little different, you're going to be kind of, we're good.
yeah.
Photo session.
Oh, yeah.
He's back.
And then you'll be kind of in the middle because of the changes. I'll make you copies so you can frame it. Okay, District 5.
Congratulations, Bill. Thank you.
Okay, congratulations. All right, raise your right hand. This is the statement of elected official. I state your name. There you go. You solemnly swear or affirm that I will not directly or indirectly pay, I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment for the giving or withholding a vote at the election at which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be, so help me God.
That's right.
Under the penalties of perjury, I declare that I have read the foregoing statement and that the facts stated therein are true, which you can read. And I'll make you copies. As late as the 12th.
We good?
One more.
Almost.
Okay, here's the oath. So raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, James Stancher,
You solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of City Council District 5 for the City of Castroville and the State of Texas, and will to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state, so help me God.
that's right.
Congratulations. Sign the rest of them, and you get a photo of your paper. And your name's already up there. And there's a packet and all, so. Thank you, Herb.
Thank you, Herb. Thank you, Herb.
Mayor, we're through now.
Ari, good?
You can turn your microphone back toward you. There you go. Okay. That's a hard copy of the packet. Yes, ma'am, we are. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations, guys. Good to have you. All right. So what we will do now is we have the citizen comment. If there are any citizens that wish to comment, please state your name and your address. Do we have any comments? All right. I'll assume that means we don't. We will go to the consent agenda. Minutes for April 28th, 2020 special call council meeting. Then a motion, discussion.
I have nothing to add.
Okay, I don't know if y'all want me to just say this every time we'll go in order. So I just have, because I can't see anything, this thing gets distorted. So we'll just start with District 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, if that's okay with you. Is that good?
Yep.
All right, we'll start with 1.
Have nothing to add.
2,
No comments.
thank you. 3,
I abstain.
4,
Nothing to add.
and 5.
I abstain.
I move that we approve
All right.
the consent agenda.
We have okay, I have to repeat this because as I said, it's very distorted. So I have a motion by Councilman Carey
Yes.
to accept. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second from Councilman
Sure.
Shearhart.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? And it passes. We will go to the next item, which is discussion and appropriate action on an ordinance awarding a franchise contract within the city of Castroville to Waste Management of Texas for the collection and disposal of solid waste. Just quickly, I would just like to mention that it might be a little bit ambiguous just saying solid waste. So just to clarify, could you clarify that? Is Chris on the phone?
He's here, Mayor, in person.
Can they hear me through
Oh,
here?
Chris, could you clarify solid waste for us, just because it's the agenda item before you begin?
Sure, Mayor. Well, solid waste services will include the residential curbside collection for all of your citizens within the city limits. It will also be including commercial collection of any businesses within the area and what we like to call industrial, any permanent or temporary roll-off collection for construction or larger projects that need a roll-off bin.
Great, thank you. So just for citizens, this means your brush, your bulk, we call it brush bulk, correct? And your recycling.
Correct. Well,
Thank you.
also,
Sir.
and then you also have an unlimited concierge service of household hazardous waste collection available to all your residents.
All right, is this going to be the city administrator, or will it be Chris to discuss?
It'll be Chris Cox, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
Okay. Well, Mayor, as you recall, in the fall of 2019, you charged Leroy, your staff, and myself to review the current operating agreement that we have with the city. Waste Management's had the pleasure and the privilege of being here serving the residents and the businesses of Castroville for many years. As we've gone through the agreement over the years, there has been some, I guess the lack of a better term, some lacks with the agreement in itself. There's been some loss of revenue on behalf of the city. There's been some loss of revenue on behalf of Waste Management, and that goes in various different forms where Waste Management had not received a allotted CPI annual adjustment each year. We forewent that along with any adjustments due to negotiations that we've been having with previous staff members here at the city. As you know, the situation with turnover here and there throughout the years, my predecessor was not able to come to terms and get an agreement signed when we had, and we wanted to bring to you all a new technology that we had in our collection fleet, which is ASL collection. I believe you'll have a one-pager that describes what ASL collection is. It is an automated side loader, which will actually enable our drivers and our collection team to collect the carts from the residential curb and without even getting out of the vehicle. So that's a new technology that we have. So back in fall, you asked us to review this, to look at the contract. There have been a number of reasons why. Bulk and brush allowances at the curb were just getting out of hand. We saw huge piles out there outside of the allowances spelled out in the agreement, and we happily collected them for you. So coupled with the adjustments that we had forewent over the years, the allowance, nailing down of the allowances, we came together with an agreement that we put in front of Leroy and staff. We believe it is the best bang for your buck here within the city. In a sense, it would raise the charge for residential collection from Waste Management. Right now, you're being charged $18.03 from Waste Management. The city has the ability to tack on any administrative or franchise fees on top of that are spelled out in your annual fee schedule. That would change to $21 a home, and that would catch us up for any CPI adjustments. And not only that, you will also be getting 96-gallon recycling carts, differentiating from the bins that you currently have. The reason for the carts is it prevents animals from getting into the bins, wind-blown material throughout the neighborhood, and it gives you a uniform look throughout your streets. So, along with that, we are also going to offer a once-a-month bulk and brush combined collection of 4 cubic yards. The hope for that is that residents would have more of an opportunity to put out their material each month rather than stockpiling it and having it 2 or 3 times throughout the year. With that, we're hoping to prevent the big piles that you've seen on the street, and also we'd like to hit home and educate the residents with the household hazardous waste collection so we can prevent any gasoline, paint, or anything of that nature ending up in those piles, which we have seen. Do you have any questions?
You're going to have to tell me when you're finished so I can continue. So,
Sure.
Chris, are you good?
I think I'm good unless you have any questions.
I have just one quickly. So as I was reading it, there's just some little things. We don't have an actual date for it to start yet. And the second thing was, now we will have 96-gallon recycle also.
Yes, ma'am. The reason for the date...
We saw that in the schedule.
Yes, ma'am. The reason for
There's
the...
one page, it's got 2 different numbers in it.
Yes.
In the long stuff
So
which I read, but it's not important now. Which one would be the one that I'm required to sign, or council's required to adopt?
Well, it would be the entire contract. The reason for there being 2 different rates is because when we are going to deploy the The carts, we don't have them right now in stock. We'd be ordering them from a vendor. So we will keep the rate the same until we receive the new 96-gallon recycle carts. Once those are received and deployed to the residents, that's when the price change will occur.
Excellent. So that's what I was curious about. So that is the actual contract. So it's effective, when we get the new cards, it'll be 21, and that is could you give me the sizes of those carts again?
They're 96-gallon carts.
Recycle and the weight?
They will both be 96-gallon.
Yeah, which is quite an increase from what we have now, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Our recycle is just a little bin.
It's actually an 18-gallon bin, so 96, from 18 to 96, quite a change.
Yes, it is. It's huge. Okay, that was the only one. This item is discussion and adopt. So we're adopting, and I don't believe it's an agreement. It's an ordinance with a franchise contract. Correct?
Ordinance.
It is.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay, good. So we're going to have discussion. We'll start again. I'll start at the other end, so we'll go with District 5.
I have no questions, thank you.
District 4?
I got a couple.
Yes, sir.
First of all, is staff okay with this?
Definitely, yes, sir.
Really?
We're looking forward to this.
Secondly, y'all keep saying we're going to get a bigger cart on the new contract, right?
You're going to get a cart, which is
different cart,
a 96-gallon
not a
recycle
bigger
cart.
cart.
Well,
The cart, well,
you don't have a cart right now for
The
recycling.
recycle cart is, but not the trash cart.
Correct, it's going to stay the same
Okay.
size. Yes, sir.
No further questions.
Hey, District 3?
I actually tried to get the big recycle carts 5 years ago, and then it was going to cost the city $60 a piece to do it, but now it's actually great because it's good for waste management because they can reduce their labor costs by doing this, so it's worked out. It just took 5 years to do it. The one real concern I have is that you're going down from 8 cubic yards to 4 cubic yards of the limb pickup.
Yes, sir.
Monthly. And if you drive up and down the streets, people, they don't just trim their trees a little bit and then they so you generally have these large piles out in front. And one of the problems, and the city has had to go, when I was on council, and I assume ever since then, is that the public works have to go out and say, hey man, your piles are too big, it's greater than 8 cubic yards. So I think trying to squeeze everybody down to 4 yards is going to be a big deal. Now, I know you're saying you're throwing debris collection in there, but now you're throwing debris and branches all in the same 4 yards. And debris, people typically save that up there every 6 months. They go out there and it picks up and it's all. So I guess this is the big cost savings for you all to do it this way, but I think we're going to get a lot of pushback because of squeezing it from from the 8 to 4. I don't see little 4-yard piles out in front of people's houses for that first week of the month. You see big piles because there were a lot of trees in this city, and that's where they all come down. And the reason the city always had that is it was the problem trying to get rid of all these branches.
Sure.
Because they fall down everywhere. So I think that is a big issue with this agreement here. I like the fact that the recycle, I think that's great. But that issue. The other question is, it looks like you all are now going to supply a dumpster out at the ball fields, but we don't supply a dumpster at the ball fields now, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong in that, but I didn't think the city's obligation was to put a dumpster at the Little League ball fields.
You do. There's actually a number of services that we provide to the city free of charge that are not spelled out in our current operating agreement. So what we've done in this agreement here is go through and list all of the locations where we're servicing the city for free and what we have been doing. And we've just spelled those out. Additionally, we've added in some requests that came from staff for the special events, the regional park. The Little League field was one that I think we're including in. We can X out if not. It's a free service to you, so I would hate for you to lose it.
Well, we don't, because basically the city's not obligated to service the Little League fields. That's a different organization that
Sure.
does that. And I just assumed they were always paying for that in the past, because I didn't realize the city was doing that. But in the old contract as well as this one, you all had to, for the special events, that was already worked into the
Yes,
contract.
sir. And we actually only, in the original contract, I don't have it in front of me, I apologize, but there was actually only collection for 3 city facilities, and that is with a 2-yard dumpster. So we've actually given you much more. We're spelling them out. We're already doing them. We're just spelling them out to be clear here for you all.
Right, and understand that, yeah. So basically, you all were also supplying a dumpster to the Little League field beforehand, but you weren't charging us for it, so the Little League was getting a free service on that.
I believe so.
Okay. And that's all fine and dandy, all this other stuff. I realize how you all are now supplying a lot more than we had in the past, but that 8 cubic yards is, I think, is going to be a big issue.
You know, I appreciate that. And the reason we started looking at this is specifically because of the allowances. Nobody was, there was a lot of individuals and a lot of residents that were, putting 2, 3, 4 cars worth, also having commercial contractors come out, cut limbs for them, which is not spelled out in the agreement, and putting those items there. We've had to go out, we've collected a number of brush piles that exceeded the allowances. So I understand what you're saying. In the past 3 contracts that we've worked with where we've put and limited down to 4 yards and did this once a month, it prevents folks from doing a stockpile. And if you put it out little by little, I think we'll be able to, work it through.
Well, see, the problem is it's the branches. People are going out there, trees fall down, and they just won't fit in a little 4-yard thing. And it's not every household puts it out every month. It's, a household might put it out there once a month because that's when the big tree fell down, or you go into the springs and at these times when they're out there trimming up their trees. But so it's not averaged across the city. We're talking about we're restricting people. And where you're saying we had problems with people holding it under 8 yards, now we're dividing that in half and also including in the debris in with the trash.
Well, I'll tell you this.
The trash and the limbs all in one, so that really squeezes it.
I understand. Well, if Leroy would like to propose something different, I will tell you, when we put this contract together, it's a whole pie kind of thing. When we were trying to weigh out all the best rates for your residents, your commercial, and your industrial lines of business here in the area. And so when there's some give and take in some other places, we'd have to adjust elsewhere. So I understand your concern. Certainly we can maybe look at some other provisions. There is something that we've done in another city where, I won't throw you under the bus, John, but there are some public works areas that do have a roll-off bin that for residents that don't have the ability, or they have a tree that falls down, doesn't fit within that 4 cubic yards, they feel so implied to get rid of it, they can take it over to a public works yard where there's a roll-off dumpster supply where they can put that there and it will haul it off.
Is that maybe perhaps the people that are having more than the 4 cubic yard maybe call in and say, hey, we have more than that, can you make an exception perhaps? Or, this would happen,
Well,
happen all the time.
Sure. We can talk about that. Our brush collection vehicles are different from the vehicles that we use to collect your residential. So on idle, those trucks are burning fuel at a rate of $140 a minute. So, we can work through that. We'd have to run it through our model to see what the cost would be to get a truck out here on the lot. But, I think the easiest thing to look at is if y'all do want that, we could do a citizen drop-off like that. So.
One thing on the bulky was
Okay.
twice a year, right? Now it'd be once a month as well.
Correct.
And you're ready to-
It's combined. Yeah.
But that's combined with the other 4 yards. So you're going from 8 yards a month and another 8 yards every 6 months to now it's all down to just 4 yards a month. I'm finished. That's
So
my
summarizing, it's hard for me to get this, but summarizing, Councilman King, your concerns are about the who's going to pay for the waste collection at the ball fields as well as the size of the brush and bulk waste pickup?
No, the ball fields have nothing to do with it. It's because I didn't realize that they were providing that to the ball fields free gratis in the old contract. Now it's stipulated, but the ball fields are separate from the city. But the big concern was going from 8 yards of monthly collection to 4 yards combined, brush and large waste. So that really reduces that particular part of the contract reduces it substantially, the benefit of it. So that was my concern, but that's all I had to speak on.
Okay, thank you. And since Mr. King, Councilman King brought that up, I do have a question. It says ×1. So does that mean that the brush and bulk waste will be picked up once a month separately?
No, ma'am, it'll be combined.
Combined.
It's on the schedule, it says ×1.
That's combined.
It'll be combined.
So that means that bulk and brush together will be picked up once a month,
Correct.
but not in one pile. There's 2 separate piles.
In one pile.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll go to District 3.
Two. A process that I've utilized when having brush to dispose of between brush pickup periods is to bundle it.
Thank
And
you.
that will still be an option that's available?
Well, the bundling with next to your cart?
Yeah.
I mean, if you put it inside your cart, the reason we're going to the cart service is because we're going to be collecting with assisted side load.
Automated pickup,
Yeah.
so there won't be
So
anyone to
every
throw the
resident
bundle in the truck, okay.
But certainly every resident, I believe we put in the price and has an option to have extra carts. So if you want an extra cart, you want to put something, bundle it in there, as long as it fits within the cart.
Yeah,
certainly
well, I would
would-
cut them to length so they were handleable, so, but,
You know,
okay.
yes,
that's-
sir.
Okay, because that's even further restricting because of the option of, or loss of that option, so, okay. That's all.
Are you good?
Yes?
So I'm sorry, I need to summarize what you said because I couldn't understand it all. You asked about, Councilman Cherry?
I had occasionally put bundles of brush next to my cart for trash pickup,
Oh,
and that option will be eliminated because of the automated pickup system.
right, good. All right, and now we'll go to Councilwoman Martinez.
I have the same concern Councilman King had, because like, for example, coming up for you guys, you're gonna have a big brush pickup in River Bluff because there was a communication snafu between the city and the residents of River Bluff, where everybody was trimming back trees and then some. So limiting it down to 4 cubic yards at a time, I think is not very wise. If we can keep the 8, that would be nice.
Maybe we have to make our recycle smaller, so we get that bigger. I don't know. So is that your, do you have any more to add, Councilwoman Martinez?
No, that's the biggest thing. I mean, because living in River Bluff, all the snafu that happened, there was chainsaws out galore.
Oh my gosh, it was awful.
It was awful. So reducing it down to 4 cubic yards at a time is not very realistic, especially if a storm comes through or something. Yeah, I agree with Councilman King. We need to look at keeping that at 8 if we can. That's all.
Mayor?
I'd just like to piggyback on what Councilwoman Martinez said. It was, citizens were cutting back trees because they were given code violations. But I understand it was only in River Bluff, so we will have the same situation as code violations are given throughout the city. That's just
Mayor,
observation of mine.
Mayor, if you don't mind,
Do we have any more discussion?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
In regards to this 4 cubic yards, when your guy pulls up to a pile of brush, what throws the red flag? I mean, can he tell the difference between 4 and 5, or?
We measure it.
You measure them?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yes, sir.
You can tell it's exactly 4 yards when you pick it up?
Yes, sir.
Really? Wow.
Well, I guess let me, Mayor, going back to a comment that one of the previous, the councilwoman made, storm debris is actually is not even spelled out within our current operating agreement. We've been happily serving you guys, collecting above and beyond over the years, but in our current operating agreement, in any agreement, any kind of storm, natural disaster situation that knocks down any items, that's not something that's covered. We've been doing it out here for many years as a courtesy, but we're just trying to nail down the agreement and get back to focus on it. Over the years, we've provided a number of services, free of charge to the city, and we're just trying to nail down and get back to focus on this. And really, to some of the councilman's comments, the bulk allowances, unfortunately, the reason why we are here and having to do a rate increase is because a number of residents are not following the guidelines. And if we would have some assistance by the city from that to keep and educate the residents on those guidelines, we wouldn't be in this situation. So, I mean, there's various options that we can look at. I understand your concern limiting the allowances. The model that we ran as far as performance and the cost effectiveness of doing this job and keeping the rates as low as we possibly can for your residents, that's the best that we came up with. Again, I think there are options to do a citizen drop-off if anyone feels so obligated to have a large tree or item taken away, but I can assure you that we've seen this work well in many different cities where we've gone to it once a month. If we educate the residents on breaking down the limbs, breaking down the items, and putting them in a neat pile rather than throwing down a tree that you just cut down in one big swoop, throwing it there on the side, that's when there becomes an issue. But if you neatly bundle, if you neatly put the item together, it makes things much easier for our team.
I have to ask a question now. You just said if a storm came through and knocked branches down, your current contract wouldn't take those branches?
For collection of any excessive storm damage, it is not in our current operating agreement.
If it's up to the 8 yards, but you're saying even if it's within the 8 yards,
So
if it
if we-
happened after a storm, it would not be in the agreement?
I'm sorry, can you
Or the
rephrase
4
that?
yards?
Let me use you an example. If a storm came through and knocked down a tree at your residence, unfortunately that would happen. Hit your home, cut the tree down, take some shingles off the roof and put that on there. Anything above that allowance that's not currently spelled out. That's what we've been doing though, happily helping you, but that's not in the allowances spelled out.
Okay, but I'm saying that if a tree fell over because of a storm, and in the current contract, if it was under 4 yards, you would pick it up even if it happened after a storm. In the old one, you would be obligated to pick it up to the 8 yards,
Correct.
even if it happened by the storm or not a storm. I'm not talking about construction debris.
I was talking about the other councilwoman's comments on the big storm that came through and knocked down multiple trees in the subdivision she spoke with.
Well, it's actually, yeah, but it's a different thing. But if it was still the trees, it still fits within the thing.
Yes, sir.
So I guess what you're looking at is that we're hopefully going to collect less, and you're giving up one of the additional yard trips. I know you're going through your model, but that's the only thing that really jumped out at me. But that's my comment.
Okay, any more discussion? All right, after all this discussion, it says action, but I would like a suggestion as to what sort of action we would do.
Can I, this is Darren Schroeder. So I had a question on that. Sorry. Sure. So can we look at, so right now the problem is that people are putting down more than 8 yards of debris.
Absolutely.
Right. So, but what you're saying is that with 4 yards, now you'll start measuring and won't pick up beyond the 4 yards. So if we leave it, I think that it would be good to have itemization of 4, 6, and 8 yards, and just understand that you're going to start measuring and implementing that limit to it.
Sure.
And I think that if there is a way to pay for additional beyond that, then you can give people the option. Is there a way to itemize that out?
Absolutely.
So I think that if we itemized that out and looked at it like that, and maybe even itemized out having a bulk collection. My concern with having a bulk collection is that if everybody hits it all at once, it's going to pile over, and then the city's going to have to pick up all the extra stuff because people are not going to maybe pay as much attention to that as they would. So I think that if we start putting in those limits and have that option of 4, 6, or 8 in there, I think that would be good. I think it would also be good to itemize out the additional services, and I appreciate you guys putting in some of the extra effort for the ball fields and for some of the other stuff. It might not be a bad idea to just go ahead and include that as an itemization so that if we look at other options, we can do that.
Sure.
Yeah, but for clarity, Mayor, yeah, if I have to make a comment for clarity, in the past, when it was beyond the 8, Waste Management would call the city, and they said, hey, you got a big pile out there, and the city would have to go tell the homeowners that you got too much, it's more than the 8. In fact, there's even been some it puts out notices in the utility bills where they explained how you measured out the 8 yards and cautioned everybody to be under it. So when they say they go out there and actually measure it, they do, with a tape measure, and it's real easy to do, but they would call the city and said, hey, so-and-so address has too much material. So then the city would send somebody out there, code compliance or something, and inform the homeowner that, hey, you got to make your pile smaller. So that's been going on now.
But what you were saying is that you're picking it up anyway, not necessarily.
We're doing yes, absolutely. Anything that is not a hazardous item, we've just been collecting. We have photos of piles this week. The collection's going on right now, a block long that we're collecting. So,
Of what?
a brush,
Just a lot.
ton.
Ton. I can certainly see them taking advantage of you too.
So Councilman, just to kind of answer your concerns, we're happy to look at any option. Obviously, that would be reflective in the price. Our goal is to try and limit the cost to your residents. But if you want to look at other options, we're happy to do so.
I might be interested in seeing a model that includes the 8-yard limit rather than a 4-yard limit.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Mr. Councilman Carey?
I said I would like to see a model that includes the 8-yard limit
Okay.
instead of the 4-yard limit.
Any more discussion?
And I think the 6-yard limit would be, potentially a healthy compromise.
I agree.
And I think none of us want you to, we don't want to be a cost to you. We appreciate the service, and so we don't want you to be taking this at a loss. We just want to make sure that we give the citizens.
6 is a good compromise.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I think if we can itemize it, we can take a look at all 3 of them.
All right, so do I have a motion?
I would move that we table this item and anticipate a presentation from Mr. Cox at our next available meeting, or his next availability, for consideration of a 6-yard brush pickup model.
Sure.
Do I need to second that?
Yeah.
Yes, I'll second that.
Wait, I didn't I didn't get the motion. Say it again, it was disturbed. What was your motion?
I made a motion to to table the item and have Mr. Cox come back with a presentation at his convenience for including a 6-yard brush limit.
Okay, do we need a deadline on that response, since this, the information I read extended said that the actual contract has not run out yet, but Mr. Cox is willing to let us
I can have it to you tomorrow.
retain the current.
We can't act on it tomorrow.
No. I can have it to you as early as tomorrow. But the current agreement,
Okay.
the current agreement does not expire. But the.
So I Sorry. That's good. Do I have a second?
Phil King seconded it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, our next agenda item is from our Community Development Coordinator, discussion and appropriate action on an ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 54 of the City of Castroville Code of Ordinances relating to flood and flood damage. It should be, I think, prevention, providing for severability and providing for publication and an effective date. Ms. Soto, all yours.
Hi, good evening. Welcome aboard. This ordinance is to repeal and replace our existing Chapter 54 flood prevention ordinance, flood damage prevention ordinance. It's one that the FEMA has requested that the City of Castroville make notifications to ensure its compliance with the the flood insurance rate program. So this is just something that they send out. The last time it was updated was in 2012. That's the last time they sent one to the City of Castroville. And this is throughout the state of Texas. I believe it's even national. So it's pretty standard. The maps from 2012 to now didn't change significantly. There was something that went through in 2017 that the city pursued, and that is reflected in the new 2020 maps. So any questions? Sorry, I know it's quick. It's pretty standard.
We're good?
I'm happy to know that you didn't compose all this.
Yeah. I mean, there was very minor changes to this ordinance from what it was in 2012. They took out one definition. They kind of moved things around a little bit. And then, of course, the dates of the firm map were updated. But besides that, it was the same one that we have right now in our current ordinance. So.
Thank you, Brianna. Do we have any discussion? Can't see hands or anything, so you guys.
I was going to wait for Paul to say something since this is in his professional background.
Well, I know that the current map is the product of SAW's efforts to do a LiDAR scoping of the Medina River, a LiDAR scan of the Medina River.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So we have real science involved,
Yes.
which is a real plus for FEMA.
Yes.
So that's all.
So this is Darren Schroeder. My question was, so we looked at, I think it was 2-3 years ago, the updated maps. This reflects what we saw
It does.
in those?
I got actually a letter on, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I got a letter on last Friday saying that they did in fact make sure that that map revision was in this 2020 map. So, yes.
Excellent.
Okay. I had just looked on the maps like last week and they still reflected the old one, so I was just curious.
Online they only reflect the old ones. Since these go into effect on the 15th, I think that's when those are updated.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Good. I like it.
Good news.
I'm
Any
good.
more?
I'm
Okay.
good.
All right. So, do I have a motion, because we are supposed to have an appropriate action?
Go ahead.
I make a motion that, as stated, that we approve this ordinance change.
Second.
Can I have a council, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
None?
All right, thank you. The next one is, I was forwarded this, I don't know if Mr. Tice is there. Are you there, Mr. Tice?
No.
No.
I was forwarded this from the citizens that live on Athens and Madrid Streets by the elementary school. And Mr. Tice was intended to attend, but he's had to leave, and I guess he didn't make it back. But I had the attached packet piece, which is simply an email that gives the various accounts from the citizens, so it seems redundant, but it is what they said. They said that people are coming off Highway 90 at a high rate of speed and they're all in a hurry to get to the school. They're on their phone. Citizens' children are walking to school, and they feel it is a definite danger. And so they said they wanted speed bumps, but upon discussion with, I believe they talked to Chief, we would require a agreement, or just council would approve to have our police do a traffic study to see what we can do about, to check how fast they are going, cell phone use, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what it's about, just asking if we could get council to agree to allow the police department to study that traffic on Athens and Madrid Streets at the elementary school, and it's also already designated a no cell phone area. Okay, guys, I can't see you, so if you have questions,
I guess,
go forward.
if you, I'll go first. I guess first off, it's no cell phone coverage everywhere in the state, and not just on schools now, right? You can't use your cell phone while you're driving. Oh, yeah, you thought you were shaking your head like I was wrong. But you can use your cell phone in Castroville.
Yes.
Oh, I don't have to worry about that now. Okay, only school zones. I apologize for that. I drove out there the day. I see what they're talking about, but they're talking about the traffic that's coming off of 90 as it comes on the Madrid. And for what I remember of speed bumps, you can't put them within so many feet of a major intersection because of the danger of that. So there's restrictions of where you can put speed bumps, and I'm not sure in that short street you could do that. I know there are 4 houses along that street. From a traffic study, you could turn it into a one-way street where people couldn't turn down that because it's a real funny little intersection, but I don't know if that's the... I guess I'm trying to look at the chief and figure out what the chief thinks about the fact that can you send people out there to take a look at that practically once school starts up?
I'll be out there. I'll go out there and undercover vehicles, sit for a couple of days until they radar count cars, speeds, and then we'll decide what we need to do from there.
Okay, Mayor, the chief said he could have cars go out there once school starts up and monitor that again for us.
It's not a school zone right there. I mean, his street's not in the school zone, street we're talking about.
Okay, so Madrid there is not in the school zone. It's not until you come to that, not where his house is. So when you first turn off of 90, that's not school zone. It's halfway down those, so it's basically after 2 streets.
I didn't explain well enough. It is all the residents on that street. I don't know the street myself. I think it's Madrid. Bex, I believe, live there, and I can't remember the names of the people, but several people, but Junior isn't here. He was supposed to talk for them, so it wasn't Junior only. It was all the people on that small street. I don't know which one that is. What is it?
That small street is Madrid. Madrid
Okay,
has
that
4
one.
houses. Madrid comes off of 90 and goes toward the school, and one end of Madrid is that little, there's 3 streets that come up to 90 right there, and then the other end is a 4-way stop.
Junior Tice, David Beck, Lynn Bain, Norman Young.
Okay. So the chief said that it'd be no problem for him to go out there and take a look at that and see what's going on. Do we need a motion to have the chief do that, or?
Say action.
Yes.
It was the traffic.
Please,
Who wants to make it?
have a motion?
Appropriate action, sis.
Can we have a discussion first?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, more discussion. So the question is, what we're trying to achieve is that people aren't speeding by here talking on their cell phones, right? So, is it...
No. They are concerned that pedestrians, cars, children, walkers, all on those streets in the early morning, and when they should be here to explain it. I'm trying the best I can. With cars coming on and off, like Mr. King said, the street's kind of an anomaly, and there's traffic, and they're cited several times that there were near misses and all that sort of stuff. It's not primarily cell phone. That was the backup to their observations that they're not even, not only are they speeding, they should be slowing down, you would think, already, because it's a no cell phone, and so they're just completely disregarding everything. That was citizens' comments together. It wasn't, one-liner. So the real problem is pedestrians, the children, the residents that are living there, walkers, that they feel the traffic is a definite threat because it's fast.
So are they saying that it's over the 25 mile an hour posted speed limit? Or are they saying that 25 miles an
They
hour
didn't
is
say
too
that.
fast?
They can't do that. That's why they asked for a traffic study. They're asking for a traffic study. They suggested speed bumps, but as I nor they are aware of any of the regulations, because we would have to leave that to chief. But I believe all they're asking for is that we do a study to determine if in fact the speeds are well above what they should be, and if they're not, yielding or whatever they happen to need to be. Just this traffic study to see if we can get some relief and verify the fact that they are speeding.
And I'll look to Chief for this. I'm just trying to understand, does it make more sense just to have an officer sit there and pull people over if they're speeding and see if that alleviates? Gotcha. Right. So then how would you do this study?
Extending the school zone from
Right.
the grid from the school up to Highway 90 there, that might be another issue, drop the speed even lower.
I guess the thing that I'm a little bit confused about is if we don't have the personnel like officers to sit there, then you would have an undercover. So we do have the personnel to do the undercover study? That would be you, okay. Oh, okay.
I don't think it would be, I'm interrupting, we have a speed sign that shows motorists the speed they're going. I don't think we need an undercover, can't we just put these are just, and this has gotten all out of hand and it's my fault. All I'm asking is, they're asking is the options, council allow the police to present the study and possible options. And as I said, they just mentioned speed bumps. It's not they're insisting on speed bumps, but I'm sure there, as Mr. King said, Councilman King said, maybe there's other options. But it would be for the chief to do. So that's what it would be, is tasking the chief.
Ready for a motion?
You gonna make a motion?
Go ahead.
I make a motion that we ask the police chief to do a traffic study on the subject streets, Madrid and Athens.
Second.
Athens. Thank you. So we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, motion passed.
Hey, Mayor, as a follow-up comment, just so we're not giving anybody false information who's listening to us, since 2017, you can't use your cell phone anywhere in the state of Texas if you're driving on Texas roads. So it's not just the big cities. So if you're driving down Castroville and using your cell phone, texting or calling, not hands-free, you get a ticket. According to the Texas Department of Transportation.
Good luck with that one.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll go to the next item. Discussion and appropriate action on request for funds from the Chamber of Commerce to purchase banners supporting the 2020 Medina Valley graduating class. And this was not, Crystal referred this to me and I referred it to Mr. Vidalis. So he will have to reply. I think that it says to use money from the general fund and she's requesting. Crystal, are you there? No.
We don't have anyone from the chamber here.
No,
So this would have to,
Hi, Mayor. I got this email
Sorry.
dated on April 23rd, and she went in on the previous council meeting, but it was on time, so I said, we'll wait till this meeting. And basically her request is she's wanting anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 to help purchase banners for the graduating seniors to put those around town. I don't have much information on it. That's all she was requesting. This is one item that we didn't budget for in the current budget. If you do decide to do this and approve it, it definitely will come out of your special activities fund or budget. But again, I was hoping that she'd be here to kind of answer some of those questions. So I just attached the email to the cover page because I don't have much information on this request. So
I will have to add, I've got several comments from citizens whose seniors are graduating and they are not able to have the ceremony, obviously, because of the declaration of the pandemic. And from what I understand, they will have banners that have what originally they had planned is to put photos on the highway. And I don't think Crystal was able to talk to TxDOT about it, so they decided on banners with the graduates' photos. And someone is donating the actual printing, the actual design for the banners with the photos. And from what I understood, which needs clarification, it would be, if anything, just waiving the fee to put the banners up. Because I believe the fee is $75 or something like that.
That's not what this is.
Yeah, if I can, Mayor, if I can make some comments here. I talked to the school superintendent related to this request and Kenny Robach, and he said that the school is making banners, this high school is making banners, or I should say making signs for all the graduating seniors. He also said they do plan to have a graduation ceremony. It's being postponed to later in the summer, July, but these kids will have a graduation ceremony. And also talking to one of the board members of the Chamber of Commerce, they said they had not discussed this at all in the Chamber of Commerce, so there's no comments there. And we can't hang signs over the highway except for the two places that the city can hang them, because otherwise the state won't let you hang stuff over the highway. So
yes,
so
that was determined already. We actually went through Senator Flores and asked for his help, so he would be willing to help if this thing were to come to fruition, but I think probably there's not enough information. I honestly thought that Crystal had discussed it with Mr. Vidalis. That's my mistake. So I don't know what you guys want to do with it.
I make a motion, we table it.
Second.
But if you table it, don't we have to come back to the next meeting?
I rescind my motion to table it. I make a motion that we deny this request.
I'll second that.
Would you repeat what we're denying, please? Just summary.
I make a motion that we deny this request because of the lack of information related to the request.
It's too vague.
Okay, for the $1,000
Well,
the general fund.
Well, it said $1,000 to $1,500 in the requested email, but yeah, the motion is that we deny the request for funding on this project because of the vagueness and the incomplete details of the request.
Okay. So I have a second.
You did? Yeah, it was seconded, yes.
Carrie, Ms. Councilman Carey? Yes?
Yes, it was seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, thank you. Now we're going to, the next one is discussion and appropriate action on an ordinance amending the official paper. And I'm not sure if the word is appoint, and I'm not real sure that's the correct title that I got in the letter, Deborah. I think it's the Hondo Anvil Herald.
Well, the reason
letter I
why,
got from them.
yes, ma'am, on this ordinance, I put it as the Castroville, just because it's for Castroville, not necessarily Hondo, and that's why I reversed it only in our ordinance.
Oh.
And then, and it's to, of course, you have your information there. The reason why we're having to do this is we had originally had the news bulletin, and unfortunately they have had to close due to the death of the owner. And so we are now, this paper is able to fulfill the legal status at this time for us to be able to publish our information. So this is why we are changing it so that we can make it official.
Yeah, it's that or the Express News.
May I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am?
When we do the public notices, we don't just normally put them in both newspapers, it's only in the official newspaper?
Yes, ma'am. That is correct. By the local government code, we do need to run, of course, our public notices, information for the city as far as captions of ordinances with fines, advertisement for ads and that for employment. But they will be ran in this paper. I will say when we do the budget, their pricing is very different. And so we'll look at that at budget time too.
So this does not they do not have to put the public notices for the city of Castroville in a Castroville area?
Well, because this paper does have circulation, thank you. In Castroville, that is why they do qualify for this. And so they do publish it and circulate it here in the city. And so even though we'll have hopefully a larger part of this paper as we move forward, but that's how they qualified, was they do have circulation here.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Is there any more discussion?
I think it's really unfortunate.
Do I have a motion?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I think it's really unfortunate, the circumstances around it, but I fully support that. I make a motion that we do approve the amendment to the official Castroville newspaper to be the Castroville Hondo Anvil.
Okay, so we are amending the ordinance from the bulletin to the Hondo Anvil Herald. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. The next one is discussion and appropriate action on canceling the regular call meeting on May 26, 2020. This is our city secretary's item.
Yes, this item, in the past, for several years now, the council has agreed to cancel the second meeting in May. Usually it's for traveling due to the fact that it's the day after Memorial Day. And so this was just, I brought this back to y'all to see if that is something y'all would look at this year. And of course, anything that was on that agenda, we have looked at and can be moved to the first meeting in June without a problem, and there's no deadlines on it.
I'm good.
I'll make a motion.
All right. Go ahead.
I'll make a motion, we, hold on a second. We cancel the regular call meeting on May 26, 2020.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Thank you. That passes. We'll go to the next one. Discussion and possible action on report on airport property analysis. So it's actually possible action on airport property analysis report. In any case, I'd just like to preface this with I have a very lengthy list of questions that I'm not going to present because this agenda is already full. So I'm just going to leave those and I won't bring them up, except there's several items in here that will affect the budget, and there's some confusion between, there's a little bit of ambiguity as I read it, that Public Works supports the airport, yet citizens do not. It needs to be clear, I don't care either way. It needs to be clear that citizens support Public Works. All I'm asking is that things be clear, the transfers be transparent. I do know that I was just informed that an airport loan had just been paid off, by the city. I assume that's in there. I couldn't really figure out which one it was talking about. But I don't know what kind of actions you guys will adopt on this, but I have a lengthy list of questions that I will send to Mr. Kilpatrick after. I don't know how, just for information, and I'll share them. Thank you. So, Mr. Kilpatrick, it's all yours.
Well, Mayor, if this is Phil King, Councilman King, if this is really a really detailed report, and in my opinion, it's very, very well done. But I don't think we have enough time in this meeting with everything else that we have to discuss. I was wondering if it would be okay with you that we not discuss it at this meeting, but discuss it at a future meeting when we all have time to make comments and digest it, and then for your comments can be made then. Because I mean, I see.
What do you think? This could be in our workshop.
That would be good, because especially if you think some of this affects the budget, we could turn it into a workshop in the future, because I think this would be a great discussion. But this is, again, a very, very detailed report. It answered a lot of my questions, but not throw it away. But I think we really need to get a better long presentation on this, and that's the only way to really do this justice.
So this is a very good
And I
baseline. I agree. Okay.
I agree, because this needs to be, this will take its own meeting all by itself. That way we can carefully go over everything from all the way back to present and make a clear, concise judgment and informed judgment.
Agreed.
I think that's great, and I would also like, it included, I noticed that several people were contacted, prior mayors and prior councilmen, and I think we should really actually cite them in these sort of things. I don't, City Attorney, Ms. Trevino, would this suffice as a legal document?
It's a collection of legal documents.
The actual,
The airport property analysis, that it has an executive summary that is actually just the questions that council asked Mr. Vidal to forward to Mr. Fitzpatrick. And I do see it as definitely a workshop, as Councilman Martinez and Councilman King mentioned, that we really need some cited sources in it.
So my response to that, Mayor, is that this is not actually a legal document. However, it is a very thorough report, basically, that brings us up to speed from where we began to where we're at now. And I believe, addresses many of the questions that the council has regarding revenue issues, revenue diversion problems, and that sort of thing. So my response is it is a very comprehensive report, but it is not a legal document.
Yeah, that was, as I was preparing the budget, there are several transfers that are through different funds that we need, I would like to discuss. So I don't have, as I said, all those things up now. So, all right, thank you. Do you have a motion or discussion?
So will we table this for the next meeting?
If you're wanting to have a workshop session, I would probably
Just accept the report.
well, or,
Just at a later date, you don't know which.
right, you could just,
So I can make a motion that we will discuss this report at a later date to be determined.
Excellent. Mr. Kilpatrick, did we pay for this, or did the airport pay the consultant? So do we need that person included?
Madam Mayor, the airport paid my salary, and it paid for all the consultation fees associated with it, which was my salary.
So, no, but that's not what I meant. I see that you have Trigon Consulting, so do they need to be at the meeting when we have the workshop?
Through the retainer that we have with them under city contract, Trigon Consulting will attend where necessary.
So he could be available.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, all right, good, that's all I needed. All right, I'm sorry, I lost track. Who made the motion?
I made the
Mr.
motion
King.
and Councilman Carey seconded it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you. Passes. And so we'll have to work out, I guess Deborah, like she usually does, and is very good at it, will poll everybody to see, not poll, that's the wrong word, ask everyone when they'd be available, or we could incorporate it in our schedule, budget schedule perhaps.
There you go.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, we can look at it.
All right, thank you. All right, so we're going to the next one, which is discussion and appropriate action on approving opening of regional park pool under the guidelines of Executive Order GA-21. I've read everything very carefully since Chief and I are the emergency managers. I'd just like this item to also include that you would also have to go by DHSH guidance on, they actually have guidance for people who are over 63, and then a separate guidance for 65 and older, and then for each of the particular vulnerable, obesity, diabetes, all these sort of things, which is on the website, which you will find in the governor's order, which is attached in the very last part of the agenda. So I'm sure Devin's gone through it, so he'll be able to give you those disinfecting procedures and what we have to be mindful of with the age of who this pool with the 50% would be accommodating. That's just this because of the emergency management aspect and opening with the governor's orders and DHSH. So it's all yours, Devin.
Good evening, Council. As the mayor was saying, yes, I brought this issue of the pool to you. I mean, as the Executive Order GA-21 stated, you know, the pools were able to open as of May 8th. Of course, we weren't ready for that. I don't believe anyone in Texas is. It was just something that was stated as an overview. Also with that, that was at 25%. If overall, why this was brought to you, because that's approved by the local government. So overall, if y'all don't want the pool to be open and y'all feel like this is not something we want to get behind at this current time, you have my complete support. I'm just bringing this issue to try to continue our recreation program and then through the citizens that have requested to get this started. But like the mayor was saying, the DSHS standard stated, you know, that we could operate up to the 50% if we met the criteria that the county was currently. I saw that we have had some more cases pop up, so that would be case by case. I have gotten some information. Basically, that's about 100 people in the pool, which I can provide all of that kind of info. I mean, our pool has a capacity of 400, so we have the capacity to run a few programs and then still provide a summer away from all this chaotic mess.
Devin, I have to add though, you have to maintain the 6 feet. So with that many people in the pool, could you give us some, what would you do to maintain the 6 feet?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, with this standard, I hope that the council would approve it based on, you know, guidelines from the American Red Cross, my background with my license with the APO, an aquatics professional license, and then also the city administrator, and of course the county's representation. But yes, there is quite a few things that I've been handed down through Fitness Swim, which is through our lanes are already spread out at you know, a safe distance, but then also, you know, we can separate for swim teams. They do a thing where they have to be separated on there, and then we would of course incorporate that through our lifeguards that we enforce the 6 foot, and then also when people enter. So there is quite a detailed list of operation standards that I would like to bring if y'all would like to see that, or if you know it's sufficient to bring it to the city administrator or to the police chief and you mayor, that would protect our citizens, and we would not be prematurely opening the pool without standards of protection for these citizens, because of course we do not want a hot spot created at our pool.
And Devin, I really appreciate it, and I have had several citizens contact me about it, but we have to abide by the 63-year-olds and the 65-year-olds. So, Ms. Trevino, would we be profiling or anything if we were to, because obviously this will be a selection by the pool manager as to whom can use the pool due to the amount of people.
Right, so the city would be limited to the 25% capacity at this particular point in time. And then, you know, it is really, there is no penalty that would be enforced against the city. For instance, you know, if a 65-year-old made that determination to come and enter the pool, so that those persons that are actually under special guidelines, it is incumbent on the individual and not the city in order to enforce that. So that the city can make those recommendations, can urge those guidelines, can strongly recommend all those things. But, you know, if you have a 65-year-old that's diabetic and wants to come swim, and they are one of the 25% persons, you know, they swim at their own risk.
Okay, wonderful. And also my other question would be, we wouldn't be able to actually select from a list, the number. It would have to be random. How would we possibly, you know, all the people, Devin, how many do we have that are in all these programs?
I mean, our youth swim, which I would like to recommend that we examine extensively before we do it, because, you know, a lot of places, youth camps, it's just impossible to keep these kids separated. But besides that, I would say we probably have a dozen fitness swimmers. And the use of the pool, I mean, you can go out any given day to the park. We have hundreds of people. My recommendation would be to sort of piggyback on what our local businesses have been doing, which is like either offering fitness swim or senior hour, where we would be able to reach those people and allow them a safe environment. And then that way also, based on our current schedule with our pooling last year, we would be able to have a lifeguard, because I do not believe we'll reach the numbers of capacity with those individuals that we will be able to run programs where everyone will get their chance, but our high-risk individuals will have a safe environment.
Ms. Torino, I have another question. So if it's a regional park, can we selectively determine that only local people can use it?
No, ma'am.
No, that's
yeah, if you've got folks from, you know, escaping the city and trying to find a safer place to swim, there is no legal mechanism to prevent them from swimming, you know, in a public pool.
Yeah. Okay, those were my questions. So, council, do you mind, David? Devin will have them discuss with you.
Devin, I was wondering what our normal opening date is for the summer?
Usually for open swim is after Memorial Day is what we went off of last year, but fitness swim, we would have already been started. Okay. It really just depended on the need. And then of course the swim team comes after school ends, some a little bit before. So within the next month or so, this is our time frame of starting.
So
Within the next 30 days.
Yes, my recommendation, of course, is not immediate. It is to the earliest would be June 1st, and that would be based on all of the guidelines given by that we reach all the parameters.
I'm more comfortable with that myself. So.
All right.
So
Any
for
more
the
discussion?
so for the fitness swim, I think that there's no safer environment for them to be outside in chlorine, safely distanced, keeping themselves healthy.
Yeah.
I do feel like we need to put up some signage just to make sure that people are aware that we are not out of danger. Eliminate any kind of sign-in or anything that they need to touch. Mm-hmm. So I think that you're fully capable of putting together those protections for them.
Absolutely. We are 100% able through some new software that we had looked at during the budget season on hands-free, all that kind of stuff. So we would like to make this, there will be a lot of parameters that I will implement to provide safe environment. And then, with the fitness swim, I mean, there is absolutely no information that states that pools cause or will increase the chances of COVID spread.
Right. Do we have the
We
ability?
cannot say that. As emergency manager, we have an assurance clause that we've done with the county, and we as a city cannot state anything like that, because we're putting ourselves out for liability. If you're saying, there's no chance you're going to get it. And
He's not saying that. He's saying that there's nothing additional, but can't. Okay, so my question is,
I have no issues, but we just need to be sure we abide by the executive order and the DHSH protocol and disinfecting. That's all.
so my other,
And I know it's hard to understand because all of us feel, it's not nobody's gonna get it and all that sort of thing, but we really can't say it. I'll share with you that during our meetings, there have been many lawsuits filed about these things where they said, well, go, and of course, I don't think they can sue a municipality, but there's a lot out there. We just need to be careful.
so I had another question. Is there, just in limiting the spread from outside, is there a way, or would we want to look at charging a different rate for people outside of the city? Not for fitness swim, but for general swim? Not for club swim, but for general swim?
The overall cost of the pool is spread out between all of the areas of the pool usage. Plus or minus the area of the swim team where we try to absorb some of the cost. That way the kids are all able to afford and be able to attend.
Yeah, outside of those.
But what I have is actually in front of me is the Texas Health and Human Services, the actual thing that says to open parks, beaches, and bodies of water. And we would follow that completely. And on there it states, a lot of trying to figure out where people are coming from would be nearly impossible. But what they do recommend is that we use touchless temp guns, and also that we have restricted use. If anyone is seen anything with some of the gyms, they have time in between where they shut down everything, and they make everyone, they'll give them a stamp or whatever form of need we see fit, and we have people exit the facility so we can completely deep clean it. So we really can cut down the chances. The chances, of course, not completely reassuring people that they can't get it, but making a safe environment for all of our citizens and patrons.
Devin, I probably misspoke. The issue is not that they would get it from us. The issue is there's a checklist that we need to follow for protocol for disinfecting, and there's a checklist for the people, as our attorney said, that we have. It's not, officially filed or anything, but it's given out to those who wish to use the pool, and they are, as our attorney said, basically verifying that they do not have certain symptoms, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So my concern is I just would really like all of that documentation there ready. I think council needs to see it also if they're not aware of it. I don't know if any of you had the chance to read the executive order and the the state health department guidelines for reopening, because you really need to see those too, I think, before you can, make sure we open in the correct way. I'm not, who knows, we might need additional personnel for disinfecting and additional products, because I do know you have to have certain products.
I have a few questions.
Page 7?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm making sure I heard this right. We're not doing the swim camp, right? For the young kids to learn how to swim, because that requires contact in between whoever's teaching the young kids to swim.
Yes, ma'am. The swim team and most youth services
I'm not talking about the swim team.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
talking about
The Learn to Swim
swimming
program
lessons we offer
too
to young kids.
would also be at this point in time, through the governor's order and then also just in general, the health concerns would not be an option as of right now.
Okay, I was just making sure.
Okay, I have a few
Any
questions.
more discussion?
Yeah, I have a few questions. Are you anticipating that the swim team would start up?
I haven't heard otherwise.
When would they start? When would they start mobilizing?
The Otters start mobilizing when school ends. I mean, as everyone's opinions differ for the COVID, I'm sure we're going to get requests for that. We've had requests for the use of the pool pavilion for parties, so I just see that coming.
Okay.
But since the governor's thing, it suggests, no youth camps, that I feel like encompasses that.
Right, because how many people are on the Otters team typically?
I mean, we max out every year, so over 150.
And then if you're going to be in competition, so you're doubling that number, so there's no
Yes.
way we could do a swim team.
Absolutely.
Unless the governor, okay, that's the first one. The fitness swim, is there an extra cost to do the fitness swim, or is that just part of the regular pool fee?
No, there is a fitness pass that we offer. We offer a day pass and then also a fitness pass for a long-term punches. But that's been the same for a lot of years. I mean,
Because, well, to use the pool, it's either a per occurrence fee, or you pay a per year fee, per summer fee. So if you can only have 25% of the people in there, that means your revenue is going to be way down, but you're going to have to still keep the same number of lifeguards around, more likely than not. So that's going to be a budget issue there, as just like restaurants, everybody else has to make that. And we've seen what's happened with the news when people go to the beaches and they're supposed to social distance, and it just doesn't work. And then the other thing that concerns me is that we're hearing these reports out of New York about the things that are just hitting the kids, and all of a sudden now the vast majority of the people who use the pool are the young kids, and what's causing it, we don't know yet. So I guess I'm more thinking we need to be real careful about this and look at it at the next meeting. But if you come back to us with this at the next meeting, I guess I'd like to think that you put some numbers together. Okay, it's going to cost us this much money to do this. It's going to be a lost revenue. So are we willing to take that lost revenue for the benefit of the citizens? Because I don't see this thing starting before the 1st of July maybe, but that's just Phil King. So, but those are my comments.
well, I do.
And thank you, Phil. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm going to tag on to that because you will have to also do the occupancy. I don't know if these people change into their bathing suits at the pool, or if the children do into their swim trunks, et cetera, but even in the restroom and the changing rooms, you'll have to enforce the 6 feet. Any more discussion? That was Councilman King. Let's start the other way down. Who would like to discuss?
I have nothing more to add.
All right. Do we want a motion?
I would think that we would just re-examine this in 30 days.
So you make a motion to re-examine it?
I would move that we re-examine the issue in 30 days.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I move that we re-examine this issue in 30 days, or our first June meeting.
I second that.
Well, I want to
Right, I have a second. All in favor?
So,
Wait.
But wait, we have a question now.
We have a discussion?
sorry, discussion. Do we want to look at opening up for fitness swim, or, because I think that is a pretty limited group. Do we want to look at doing that? Because that would normally be open up right
You
now.
have to have lifeguards for fitness swim, so we've got to.
And we do already have quite a bit. Fitness swim only requires one lifeguard. And we do have these very gracious kids that are looking to get out of their houses and earn some money. And, I would be able to employ someone very quickly. But I have no issue bringing a plan of action for our open swim, with including, our policies and procedures, preventative and, responsive to all the COVID stuff. Next
May
meeting.
I, Mr. Councilman Schroeder, I'd just like to get the attorney's also her legal opinion about a regional park and the pool. As she said, everybody's running to get to the park. The park is open, I assume, if the pool is open. And I really don't think we can single out a certain group of people. Not that I wouldn't like to,
No,
but
and all I'm
could
suggesting
also.
is that we look at opening up the fitness swim only. I think that it would be a good idea, it'd be something good that we could provide to the citizens. And it's already pretty social distance, the people that come in for fitness swim are responsible.
But, would you ask the attorney, Darren, please? If that is,
I'm going to pop in here, Mayor, and just state that the city can set up different programs for use of the swimming pool, so that if there's a specified set of parameters for the fitness swim, so long as people meet those specified parameters of the fitness swim, and if the city wanted to make that particular portion of, say, that 1 hour swim is for City of Castroville residents only, that's for hour 1 from 8 to 9, a different group is allowed in from 9 to 10, that sort of thing. The city can set up those types of parameters. And then the only thing that I would say is that, if there is a time period for general open swim to the public, those fees have to be the same across the board for anyone in or outside of the city limits.
Thank you.
A way to control that would be to make the general open swim a limited time period, maybe at the beginning until perhaps at some point in the future, we all get the all clear.
Excellent, thank you. All right, I interrupted, but that was the clarification I believe we need.
Well, I would, as the maker of the motion, I would entertain an amendment to give Davin the prerogative to initiate a fitness swim within the operation of what we have traditionally done. And if someone would like to make that amendment, I'd be accepting of it.
I would entertain that as well.
Yeah. So do I propose an amendment?
You would propose an
Could I
amendment
propose an amendment to,
on my motion?
on your motion,
Right.
so the motion
Wait,
being...
I didn't understand.
Sorry.
I can't hear it. It's all garbled.
This is-
What was the motion?
So, Councilman Carey's motion was to...
Re-examine this in 30 days.
Re-examine this in 30 days, and I'm proposing an amendment to say, let's allow Devin to have the option of opening up for fitness swim given the protection methods that are approved.
And also the attorney, legal counsel.
Yeah, so
which we
to have
to,
staff look at it and have it approved by...
Can I ask a question?
Go.
When will we start fitness swim?
Based on, we already have sort of thought that this could happen, so I've already had some of the chemical bases start. I would say most likely the 18th, I could have the pool ready to go, but I really would say if we could, the 26th, that Tuesday after Memorial Day. That way I'm able to get the lifeguards, because I don't want to rush City Hall to get stuff done just on my, my need to push it. So I would say by the 26th, safety-wise, planning-wise, and for the hiring of lifeguards.
You need a second on the amendment.
And again, we're not concentrating on fitness, we're concentrating on everyone. I don't know if Councilwoman Martinez has something she would like to add about the lessons, but as the attorney said, it would be open to everyone at certain times. So that would be giving him the prerogative to set up that sort of availability, correct?
Then I have the question to the attorney, because some of these swim lessons for the little kids require hands-on with the children
No,
from
so
an instructor.
I'm saying fitness swim only. I don't support the other ones. I don't support general swim or lessons or anything like that, but fitness swim, absolutely.
Okay.
So I think I need a second.
May 26th. Order.
I second Paul's motion.
Okay, but we just fitness,
And
it's not only for fitness swim, it's to open the pool.
And Darren's amendment to that motion.
No. Mayor's saying open the pool.
No.
period.
No.
No.
No, I'm not saying
that is not.
the mayor's, I'm saying Devin's, excuse me,
Fitness swim.
I'm saying Paul's motion with Darren's amendment to that motion to only open, so I'm seconding that motion.
The,
Only opening
for
Only
fitness.
open for fitness.
Correct.
Fitness swim.
The attorney said we can't.
No, she didn't.
No, Mayor, let me clarify. If the city wants to make the decision right now that it will only be open for fitness swim for those scheduled activities, the city can do so. If at some point that they decide, the city makes the recommendation to open to general public, then at that time, the city would have to, make sure that the rates for entry were all the same. So the city can, at a particular point in time, make a determination to open, to have limited availability until such time, as we get, the all clear from the governor, as to additional openings.
So we're going to make it fitness swim, 25%. Well, we have to wait for the active cases, and we've gone up in active cases. I'm not sure. So we will need more information as the council did ask for. Okay, I got it. It's hard for me to understand because there's a lot of distortion. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. We're good. So I have a motion and a second.
Well, you have to vote on the amendment first, then back to the motion.
So I make a second, I seconded Darren's amendment.
Yes. Now we just need a vote.
Okay. All right, so now we are voting on Councilman Schroeder's amendment, which is to only open for fitness swim.
Earlier
Got
than
it,
May
second?
26th.
Right.
No earlier than May 26th. Correct.
Second?
I'll
It's-
give a second.
It's been seconded.
Well,
It's
no,
already
we
been
just need a
seconded.
vote.
It's been seconded, I'm sorry.
We just need a vote.
Okay, so who did the, I can't hear you guys. You're all, who did the second?
Paul Carey?
No, Phil King gave the second, it's time to vote.
I can't y'all are all talking together. All right, so who seconded Darren's amendment?
Mayor, Phil King, he seconded the amendment, and now we're just waiting for the vote.
Okay, that's all I wanted was Phil's name.
Yes,
You can
ma'am.
tell, I thought it was Mr. Carey. Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Thank you.
Okay, now you also
Now-
have a motion on the floor that Mr. Carey made originally, that they
Yes.
need to vote on.
So, Mr. Carey, would you restate it, please, because I kind of lost everything.
The motion was to revisit this in 30 days, and the amendment was added and accepted to open only for fitness swim, not before May 26th.
And Mr.
Okay,
King,
now that makes sense. I thought I misunderstood.
and
Okay,
Mr. King
is
has
that a
already
second?
seconded that. Mr. King seconded that also.
Sorry? I couldn't hear. Sorry?
Mr. King, our Councilman King has already
Mr. King.
seconded that.
Okay.
We just need a
All
vote.
right, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Thank you.
Thank
Okay, now we are going to, this is a long one, we have updates from Devin again with the Parks and Recreation. I would just like to add something that we haven't started the budget, so maybe the budget items, I didn't get to look at the PowerPoint or the packet before the items listed, so I didn't see the PowerPoint until now, and it's already kind of asking us to adopt some budgeting things that I would ask that we wait until we actually start the actual budget process. Would that work?
On the parks presentation, there is
And the
no,
park
there's-
presentation.
on the parks presentation, there's no budgetary items.
There's no action on this one, ma'am.
Yeah.
This is just an update for y'all at this time.
Okay, but nothing in reference to a Parks Master Plan that is going to be budgeted, or is that free?
Mayor, the Parks Master Plan that was in, which I was gonna, for this item, the Parks Master Plan has been funded as a grant outside of the city. It has been met by a need of an outside entity, and one of the reasons it hasn't been brought to the attention of everyone yet is just because that party has requested that we don't overshadow the COVID effort, and that we focus on that right now, and that there's no funding resources requested for the master plan.
Okay, so that's not a budget item. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, it's all yours. Thank you.
Okay. So for anyone listening, if you would like us to provide you this presentation, you're more than welcome to email me. My info is on the city website, and I'll email this to you. For council, it's just a little easier for us just to do this off of the documents provided. This is basically a Parks and Recreation update of what's currently going on, just so you know where we currently lie. If you have any questions pertaining to any parts of this, it's supposed to be quick, direct, but I can give you or meet with you at another time. We are at 57.63% of our budget. Maintenance is normal. Park closures due to COVID-19, that includes playgrounds, pavilions, tables, and bathroom facilities. Overall attendance in park has doubled, if not tripled, during the pandemic. We have a new irrigation line installed for some trees. We planted a tree last year. We did this all in-house. I would say overall project was less than $500. One of the trees was donated by an individual for her sister, and we had made promises prior to the COVID that we would plant this tree in a certain time frame, and we went way past that, so we were just following through with that. So that tree was donated, but overall the project was less than $600. We have added security to the park. The access to that security is only to the city administrator, myself, and the police chief, or any of his personnel that he sees fit. That provides attendance to the park's entrance. We have one at the front of the park, and we have a few throughout other departments, which I'll speak of and when they come up. Closures, currently all of our athletic fields, organized sports, volleyball courts, basketball, and tennis are closed. At this point in time, it was just easier to close everything with the amount of influx of people that we've had come into the park. It's just easier for us, along with the assistance of PD, to supervise those kind of activities without, interfering with all different groups. So within Parks and Recreation, we move on to aquatics. We are currently at 18.14% of the budget. As y'all know, we don't really start any use of that budget up until summer, so that's with y'all's agenda item request. I will come through with more information on what it will look like based if we do the season. Pool is currently closed. We completed the filter change out. Yes, ma'am?
I'm sorry, this is the mayor. Devin, you're just averaging the entire budget. There's several items in the budget. So you're incorporating your percentage from all of the park areas in the city, not just regional parks.
The overall budget for these items, like where we are. So you're referring to the fact that it's not itemized for every single issue?
No, I was just wondering if there's a budget. I know in the past, and I don't really remember when we adopted, we had a proportional amount budgeted to each of the parks. Is that the way it's done, or it's just kind of pooled?
For the overall parks, that encompasses every part of Parks and Recreation for Steinbach, September Square, Houston Square, Lions Field, and for regional. Of course, regional takes a precedence in the budget because it is our largest park and encompasses a lot more activities that are used by our citizens. We maintain all the other parks to a certain level of cleanliness, and also we have other items that were budgeted, like repairs to the trails and stuff. But other than that, we don't have any major items budgeted besides to September Square and to Okay.